Hey, first graders, we are going to start chapter 4 today, and chapter 4 is called Subtraction Strategies. So chapter 3 was addition strategies. So we're moving back to subtraction, but we're actually going to do some things that seem very familiar and are related to what we did with the addition. But before we get started with learning these strategies, we are going to do a review of some of the subtraction basics that we talked about in chapter 2 and which you learned in kindergarten so that we're ready to apply those. Okay, so what you're going to need today is you are going to be pulling out from your book 4 pages. Okay, 4 pages starting with this one. Okay, so 4 pieces of paper, and the first one is here where it says chapter 4, subtraction strategies. Okay, so if you need to pause and do that, you can. So you have those ready. Okay, so here, chapter 4, you can see it says chapter at the top. I'm going to make that a color that's going to show up better. Okay, chapter 4, subtraction strategies. There's our title. Okay, and then George down here has a question for you to think about. He says, 6 little chicks are on the fence. Okay, you can see that goes with the picture. 2 chicks hop away. So let's say that these 2 chicks are going to go hop away. Okay, how many are there now? What would be left? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see a subtraction problem somewhere around you? Okay, subtraction problems can be something we see, not just something we talk about or write down. So if you notice a subtraction problem in things that you see around you, point it out to somebody. Okay, let's go to the next page. So if we turn that open, we have these 2 pages up next. And this is where we're going to review. So you're going to want a pencil so you can do your work, and then a crayon just in case to check it off at the end. Okay, so let's look at number 1. For this first section, it says model subtraction. Okay, so model subtraction. Turn that better color again. And model subtraction. We're going to use the cubes to show each number. Take away and write how many are left. So number 1, we have our little story here. It says 5, take away 2. We can see in the picture they started with 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 were taken away. Okay, if we have 5 and we take away 2 over here, write down what number is left. Okay, let's do the same thing on number 2. It says 3, take away 1. So look at the picture. Notice they started with 3, take away 1. Over on the lines, in your best handwriting, write down what is the number now. Okay, number 3 and 4 is under the topic use symbols to subtract. So we are going to be using our symbols. What symbols do we need when we are doing subtraction? We need the minus symbol. So I'm going to put the symbols in the circles. So we'll need a minus symbol, and we'll need the equals symbol when we find the difference between the numbers. Okay, so number 3, look at the picture. What did you start with? That's your starting number. What was taken away? And what do you have left? Our starting number, what was taken away, and the difference of what is left. Number 4, same thing. Turn that picture into a subtraction sentence. Notice these are called subtraction sentences. These are not subtraction stories. Okay, when you're just using the numbers and the symbols, it is called a subtraction sentence. Okay. And number 5 and 6 are under the heading subtract all or 0. The directions say write how many are left. Now the heading is giving you a clue, subtract all or 0. What happens to a number when we subtract all of it? What happens to a number when we subtract 0 from it? Okay, so number 5 has 3 minus 0. Write the difference. Number 6 has 4 minus 4. Write the difference there. Okay, if you have that done and taken care of, you can switch to your crayon. I'm going to switch to just another color here. Okay, so number 1, 5 take away 2. What is our difference? It is 3. Okay, and number 2, 3 take away 1. What is our difference? It is 2. Okay, so if you have those right, you get stars next to them. If you needed to fix them, put a star. Number 3, think what our number should be. What should our number sentence be, our subtraction sentence? Okay, it should be 6 minus 2 equals 4. If that's what you had, give yourself a star. Otherwise, fix it and mark it with a star. Number 4, we have 4 minus 1 equals 3. And again, mark it with a star or a star. Can you see how the picture shows that? Here we start with a whole group of 4. 1 goes away, 3 are left alone. Here we had a whole group of 6. 2 are getting marked off, and 4 are left alone. Okay, number 5, we have 3 minus 0. Remember, 0 is a placeholder and means nothing or no change. Okay, so 3 minus 0 stays at 3. There was no change. And in contrast, we have 4 minus 4. If I have 4 and all of them get taken away, then I'm not going to have anything left. And you can see on this picture, all 4 birds are going away. Nothing is left on the branch. Okay. Okay, go ahead and switch back to your pencil. I'm just going to pick another color. And we are coming over here to the heading, Visualize It. Here in this Visualize It section, you are supposed to do some thinking about what you know. Okay, so this is not something where there's a right answer or a wrong answer. This is all about thinking to yourself how you feel about these different things. So the first word we have here is difference. Okay, when we're talking about subtraction, I want you to think about the word difference with the idea of subtraction. If you know what the word difference means when we're talking about subtraction, then you would check right here. If you don't know, but you remember hearing about it before, it sounds familiar, then you're going to check here in the middle. And if you are thinking difference for subtraction, I don't know why we would be using that, then you would check the last box. Remember, there's nothing wrong with your answer. I just want you to think about your own thinking. Okay, the next word is subtract. We're going to do the same thing. Do you know it? You'll check here. If you don't know what that means when we're talking about subtraction, if it just sounds familiar, you'll check in the middle. If you don't know that word at all, you would check the end. And I know none of you are going to check the I don't know box because I know you all know about subtraction. Okay, the next one is subtraction sentence. If you know what it means when I'm talking about a subtraction sentence, and you could even teach it to somebody else, you'll mark I know. If you've heard it before, but you're not sure you could explain it, it just is familiar, but you're not solid in your knowledge, then we'll mark it sounds familiar. And if you don't know what a subtraction sentence is, then we'll mark I don't know. Okay, and then finally we have takeaway. If you know how the phrase takeaway applies to subtraction, you'll mark I know. If it only sounds familiar and you couldn't explain it to somebody, we'll mark that. This last one is if you don't know how takeaway is applied to subtraction. Okay, so I hope you did some good thinking about your own knowledge. Okay, these are all words that we will be using throughout this chapter and which were introduced to you during the first chapter. And you know what? A lot of them I was using just in those questions 1 through 6 on the page before. Okay, so hopefully they all at least sound familiar. And I'm thinking that fortunately you guys have listened enough to really know what many of these are. Okay, so now we're going to apply those words. We're going to understand our vocabulary just like we do when we're reading. And we always practice using the words. We are going to practice using these words in these 4 sentences below. So we need to decide which word belongs in each sentence. Okay, so look at number 1. 3 is the blank for 5 minus 2 equals 3. Okay, so it's saying what is the name for the number 3 in this subtraction sentence? 3 is the blank. Is 3 the difference? We're going to look up here in the yellow box. We have, is 3 the difference? Is 3 the subtract? Is 3 the subtraction sentence? Or is 3 the takeaway? Which of those do you think makes the most sense in the sentence? Okay, did you say difference? If you said difference, you are correct. So we're going to look at difference. We can just spell it straight here from our yellow box and put it in that sentence. 3 is the difference for 5 minus 2 equals 3. The difference between 5 and 2 is 3. There are 3 jumps between 5 and 2. That's how they are different from each other on the number line. Okay. Number 2, 7 minus 4 equals 3 is a blank. Okay, 7 minus 4 equals 3 is a, let's look in our yellow box. 7 minus 4 equals 3 is a subtract. 7 minus 4 equals 3 is a subtraction sentence. Or 7 minus 4 equals 3 is a takeaway. What is that called? Okay, that is a subtraction sentence. Remember, when we're just using numbers and symbols, it is called the subtraction sentence. Okay, if we start talking with more details and talking about what it is that's going away and things like that, that's when it becomes a subtraction story. Okay, but when it's just the numbers and symbols, it is a subtraction sentence. Okay, number 3, you blank to solve 5 minus 1. You blank to solve 5 minus 1. Okay, we have left in our yellow box, we have you subtract to solve 5 minus 1 or you take away to solve 5 minus 1. Which one do you think it is? Okay, do you feel like they both could work? Okay, let's look at the next one and decide which one fits there better. Number 4, you can blank 2 counters from 6 counters. You can blank 2 counters from 6 counters. which one's subtract, and which one's take away. Okay, I'm going to tell you number 3 is subtract. So if that's what you were thinking, you are correct. Okay, and number 4 is the one that's take away. Now, really, you could say both of them work in both places. The reason take away 2 counters from 6 counters is the better option is because if you have 6 counters in front of you, you can physically use your hand and take away some of the counters, right? If you're just looking at the numbers 5 minus 1 written down on paper, you can't physically take anything away. You're just subtracting. You might use take away to help you subtract. So you might create a group of 5 and take something away from it. But taking away is a physical movement or action that you might take to help you with subtracting. So that's why we're putting it with the counters, okay? Because you could physically take 2 counters from your group of 6 counters, okay? So hopefully these couple of pages helped your brain start thinking about subtraction some more. We're going to quickly look at what other pages you just pulled out. That's not quite yet. Okay, the back of that page looks like this. This is a little game that you can play with someone at home. It says that you need a couple of place markers. You could use some that come from another game if you want to, or you could just find things around your house to use as place markers that would fit on these spots. So I've even had kids just use little pieces of paper before. Okay. It says you need a spinner that has 1 and 2 on it. A really easy way to do that is to just take a piece of paper and on one half of it write 1, one half of it write 2, and then draw a line down the middle and take a paper clip and put it on the tip of your pencil and hold your pencil up and down with the paper clip around the point, and then you just flick the paper clip and it will spin around, okay? And then it says 12 counters, and you have counters that you got at the beginning of the school year, so you can use those, okay? So this is just a quick game you could play over and over to practice some subtraction skills. Next up in those pages you pulled out are some vocabulary flashcards. Okay, so one side of it, it just has the word both in English and Spanish. And then on the back, it has examples or an explanation of what that word is. And then I think I accidentally closed it. So we're going to come here and I'm just going to show it to you here because I apparently accidentally closed it. Okay, so the last 2 pages, this one and this one, that's the front and back of it, those are challenge pages, okay? So this one is a challenge game that would really test your brain and see how well you're understanding some of those vocabulary words. And then this one is a little challenge writing that you can do a little writing about math and see how well you understand and how well you can explain your thinking. Okay, so there is our introduction to chapter 4, and we will start thinking to move ahead and work on each of the lessons and practice some new subtraction strategies. Okay, happy learning!